Hello, my name is SvenP and welcome to a glorious Fortnite Creative tutorial. I will show you how to build epic mountains as far as the eye can see. Actually, not that far, because I'm using an illusion to make it look like it's actually further than it is. I'll get more into that later. First, let's pick island, grid island, of course, the biggest, the baddest, the best, the gloriousest. And if you like this content, don't forget to subscribe. I start off with weather and lighting, setting time of day to 12 PM, light brightness 100%, fog thickness 30%, and fog color white. There are a lot of potential cool light settings here, but this is an example of one that looks great for some really cold frozen mountains. We are gonna grab the Grey Cliff Snow Gallery, especially the tall corner piece that I'm placing on 4, but the other ones that I'm grabbing can be very useful as well. While you're at it, also grab Nature Ice Cliff Gallery. Those will be used for some snow. What you want to do now is set grid snap to 1 and resize this building piece all the way up. There are 2 important shapes to make with this. One is just spinning it around like this, but the most important one is putting them on top of each other. The one where they are on top of each other, I will copy paste and tilt a little bit, turn grid snap all the way off. Then I have the perfect building piece to just move around. And you can see that it is starting to look like something that could eventually turn into a mountain. What is really cool about these pieces here is that the graphics for each piece overlaps with the ones that are next to it. So it looks like it's just one big, huge block. Now you can copy paste this whole thing and place them around in a full circle. And already you got a beautiful, glorious, epic, majestic, ultimate mountain. When doing this, however, there will very likely be tiny gaps like this, and these are so easy to fill. And on this part you can also start creating a little bit more variety on your mountain. Like for example having some of the blocks be at a little bit different angles, and having some ice here and there. Ice you wanna just place wherever it fits. The mix of mountain and ice makes it look really nice. Also from the Grey Cliff Snow Gallery, this block here is really nice for making caves. When placing it, it looks a little bit weird at first, not exactly seamless, but the thing that's so awesome about these blocks here is that they are actually really good for making things look seamless. One thing that's really good for that is to resize the block that we've used for most of this mountain here. As long as the round edges are all pointing outwards, and the pointy edges are inside of another block, your build will look seamless. You want to go around your build and take a look at these tiny seams here, and just grab this block again and then tilt it a little bit so that the round edge will be pointing further outwards. Then you can use that to cover more of those gaps up. Another thing that you can do to cover gaps up and at the same time create an epic path going down your mountain is to, make an epic path going down your mountain. A hanging bridge from the pirate ship gallery would also do really nice here. I'm just resizing it to be a tiny bit thinner. Then I place it where I want it, and then just adjusting my cliff a little bit so that it will meet. And then there will be a bridge going from one cliff across a gap. And I'll add some blocks on the edge there, just to make the transition smooth. This block right here might be very nice for making things smooth. Then all that's left is a glorious peak that I'll make with these ice blocks. I'll just tilt them a little bit and just place them in a circle, and it will look like a snowy peak. And that will conclude part 1 of this video. The song that was played, by the way, is Falketind by Edvard Bolås. Check out this channel in the description and say hi from me. In this part of the video, we're gonna be copy pasting. At first, I will show you a fancy trick for copy pasting this whole mountain here. Because who wants this at the edge of the map, right? It might look like a huge pain in the, to copy paste this, but if you have built a prop turned off and a structure piece like the ceilings or the walls that I built, you will have the mountain stuck on the original grid, and then it will be very easy to copy the mountain in bulks. This mountain here has about 200 props. So you can first grab the first 100, copy paste it with the ceilings or walls, then grab the other piece Also copy paste with ceilings or walls. And if you do this right, which is quite easy, you'll copy paste the whole mountain and it will keep its original shape. If you missed some of the blocks like I did when I copy pasted, it's very easy to just fix that. The way that I made those 3 mountains is not how my complete build would look like. I'll actually end up having one of these mountains in the very middle of the map, but I'll get more into that later. Right now, I'm kind of just experimenting with the different types of mountains and seeing how I like things. Now I'm copy pasting the top of the original mountain that I made because I wanted to try a smaller one. And then I'm just placing that all over the place. I'll also be copy pasting a smaller part of the top for some even smaller mountains. And now you can start getting a sense of how easy it can be to make a huge epic mountain range. To summarize mountain building and make it a little bit smoother than the previous mountains that I made, I'm doing it again right here. So you start off with the long corner piece, put 2 or more on top of each other, move around in a circle like this, make sure it's not 100% even, and fill in all the gaps. Filling in the gaps are surprisingly easy. All of these blocks are from Grey Cliff Snow Gallery. The one on the bottom left is the one that I'll be using for the tip, and it's quite useful. Just make sure it's pointing in the right direction, with the pointy corner pointing upwards. Resize it, and then turn grid snap off, and then you can move around in a little bit of a circle like this. Then just build them on top of each other, and you can also copy paste the bulk of them, and they will sort of fit into each other in a way that makes it eventually into a pointy mountain. When all that's left is the top, you can just use one of these things and just place it all the way on the top, and it will sort of fit into the tip. Maybe place a couple of more of them here and there just to like get the shape right. And then you just have a couple of areas here that you just gotta fill in. And it will look like a very, very nice pointy mountain. You might be wondering why I keep making all of these tiny mountains. And my plans are that I will have huge mountains close and small mountains far away. That way I will create sort of an illusion of distance. Although the way that I had these mountains arranged here, it didn't really create that effect successfully. So I had to organize the placement a little bit more, but I'll get more into that later, and how to make that illusion properly. For the next part, you want to go into the spooky particle gallery and grab one of the fog pieces. With this, you'll cover the ground. At first, I'm gonna just place them on a line here so that I can just copy paste them and place them all over the place. They are a little bit annoying to copy paste. First of all, targeting them is a little hard, and then when you copy paste them, it's kind of hard to get them to behave properly and be put at the right position. But once you just get used to that, it will be fairly easy. I'm having them all the way down to the ground. One of their purpose is to cover the grid, and to also make it seem like these mountains are actually really tall, and they're basically just the tip of a huge mountain, just really far above the ground. And then further below the fog, it will be really far down before you'd hit the ground. And that's another illusion. The fog pieces that I used was regular size. The ones that I'm holding right now is resized all the way bigger. And you can see that the ones that I used first leave kind of a square everywhere that doesn't look good. But when I'm using these bigger ones, it covers it. It might be a good idea to try using only bigger ones and cover it later with bigger ones to make sure it looks even and not a repetitive square thing everywhere. But you also want to make sure that you're covering the grid as well, and the bigger ones I believe are a little bit more see-through. But try experimenting a little bit with this. I do think, however, that if you can use the bigger ones, it's better to not use too many small ones because they cause quite a bit of lag actually. I feel like this is turning into something, but I'm not really quite satisfied with the size of the mountains there. It doesn't feel like the mountains in the distance are very far in the distance. They just feel like they're really small. So I had to make some adjustments to the illusion to make it actually look right. So I'm copy pasting these mountains there. This is all the way in the corner, and I'll have them on top of each other so that they will look like a huge mountain range. Then I realized that copy-pasting the top of this mountain and then placing this all the way over this mountain range, it will create an even more detailed, super far away looking mountain range. And looking at that from the distance will be super cool. And when the mountains that are closer are bigger than this, and these mountains that are really far away have all of these tiny tips, it actually looks like these mountains are very, very big and very far away, making an illusion, causing the map to look way bigger than it actually is. So I would place the original mountain with the hanging bridge at the middle of the map, remove the other ones that I made because I realized that they didn't really fit, place small mountains all over the place, and even smaller ones all the way in the distance. My map would sort of have a frame around it, so that the mountains very far away would block viewing through them, and the mountains very far away would also have a bunch of tiny mountains on top of each other, and it looks super cool. While the mountains in the distance are starting to look glorious, the illusion has not yet seen its final form, which requires some extra trees here and there. So this mountain will be the starting point, and close to here, the trees will be pretty big. I will have a wood surrounding that mountain, and the further away from it we'll get, the smaller the trees will be. This block here, I'm setting up on an angle so that we will have a little bit of a ramp. This way, it looks like the trees that are low on the bottom are sort of sticking out from the fog. And it looks like it's natural with the mountain, so that the trees are not all on the same level, but gradually going up. From the overhead view from this angle, you should be able to see quite clearly what I mean by gradually making them smaller, making it look like it's further away. You can see here that the further away the trees are, the smaller they are. The further away the mountains are, the smaller they are. Even the details on the side of the lake looks a little smaller further away. There are only a couple of minor details left for this build, like for example just placing this ice here and there for some snow. This is after all a snowy mountain. And from the particles gallery, I'll be grabbing some smoke that will look really cold and epic. Another block from the particles gallery, the one that is all the way to the left, I will use for snow. It is a little bit yellow, and yellow doesn't really fit that well with snow, but it behaves a lot like snowflakes does when they're in the wind, and it really gives a feeling of it being very snowy. But since they're not white, I don't really like it that much. It does help to place a lot of fog here though. To summarize this epic process, this pointy mountain would be the middle of my build. I spent a little time figuring out where I wanted it or how many versions of it I wanted. Also, I made a little ugly thing in the middle there that I would eventually get rid of, as well as a bunch of tiny mountains all over the place that really didn't end up in the right positions. Then I added some fog, and then later I figured out how I would make the small mountains in the distance, which turned out really cool. And I also did a similar thing with the trees, having them be large close to the mountain and small far away. Let's go and take a little look at how this looks like from this mountain. So the whole mountain has a walkway going all the way up. Now we're going through the snowy area, and it feels pretty snowy and pretty nice. And of course there's the yellow snow, which I wasn't that fond of, but it is what it is. I kind of like it. It feels nice. And just walking up here with all of these bridges circling around this mountain with all of the view feels really nice. And all the way on top here, there's a couple of my portals to other maps, just because why not? If you want to visit this map, the code will be in the description and on the screen right now. This is during sunrise with cyan fog and white light, 100% brightness. It looks super cold and frosty. And here's one that's not as cold and frosty feeling. This might be one of my favorites actually. There is red lights and yellow fog, or the other way around. I actually can't remember, but I love how the ice gets sort of highlighted, and same with the fog getting highlighted with this light setting. And this one is super awesome. Here we got blue fog, and it contrasts very nicely with the mountains and the white fog on the bottom. Notice how much cool, awesome stuff that you can do by just changing the lighting and the fog setting and the time of day. With all of this being said, and all of these light settings and fog settings being very cool, my favorite one was actually a pretty standard one, which is time of day, 12 PM, 30% white fog, and default lighting, 100% light brightness. I'm gonna be publishing this map in the Frosty Fortnite competition as an artistic build. Until 15th of December, we can publish maps with the Frosty theme to it, and this one certainly has that. And if this map won't get featured, maybe you can make something with some of these tricks here and get featured. Notice how when moving from the mountain over to edge of the map, it's surprisingly fast to get to the edge, but when moving from the edge and back to the mountain, when closing in on the mountain, it actually takes a surprisingly long time to get there. This is because of the illusion of distance created by having things far away be smaller. Anyways, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed, and have a great day!